The rain in the city didn't just fall, it punished. Nia Benson stepped out of the hospital's fluorescent glow, her dark green scrubs clinging to her skin. 12 hours. 2 cardiac arrests. 1 grieving family that she had to hold together while she was falling apart. Her phone screen was cracked, the battery flickering at 1%. She saw the rideshare app confirm a black sedan. When a sleek, obsidian-colored Genesis G90 pulled up with windows so dark they looked like polished onyx, she didn't hesitate. The night a wrong turn became a date with destiny. Nia whispered, a small ritual to keep her sanity. She yanked the back door open. The air inside was crisp, smelling of expensive tobacco and a scent that reminded her of old libraries. Maple Street, the one with the gate, she rasped, her voice paper thin. She didn't wait for an answer. She leaned her head against the cool leather and let the darkness take her. Ji-hoon Park was not a man of many words. He was a man of actions, most of them lethal. As the head of the park syndicate, his life was a series of calculated moves. When his car door flew open at a hospital pickup zone, his hand moved with liquid speed to the silenced pistol tucked into his inner vest. But the assassin was a woman in crumpled scrubs who smelled like antiseptic and coffee. In the front seat, his lieutenant, Min-ho, gripped the steering wheel, his eyes wide in the rearview mirror. Sejang-nim, boss? Shall I remove her? Ji-hoon watched her. She was fast asleep within seconds, her chest rising and falling in the heavy rhythm of true exhaustion. He noted the ID badge, Nia Benson, registered nurse. Drive, Ji-hoon commanded, his voice a low, velvety baritone. But the meeting with the Busan elders. Tell them I am delayed, Ji-hoon said, his eyes never leaving Nia's face. And turn up the heat. She is shivering. For 45 minutes, the Genesis became a sanctuary. Ji-hoon, a man who had survived 3 attempts on his life before the age of 30, sat perfectly still. He found himself fascinated by the vulnerability of the woman beside him. In his world, everyone was a wolf. But she was a light that had simply burned out for the night. Ji-hoon is known as the Ice King in the underworld. Why did he let a total stranger sleep in his car instead of throwing her out? Is it hidden kindness, or is he intrigued by her lack of fear? Let us know your predictions. The car took a sharp turn. Nia's head drifted, eventually landing on Ji-hoon's shoulder. Min-ho flinched, expecting the boss to push her off. Instead, Ji-hoon sat like a statue, allowing the weight of her head to remain. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about territory or blood. He was just a man in a car. Nia woke up to a sound, the muffled click of a lighter. She blinked, her vision clearing. This wasn't her apartment. The seats were too soft, and the man she was leaning on felt like a wall of warm granite. She realized with a jolt that she was resting on a man in a 3-piece suit that probably cost more than her nursing degree. Oh my God, she gasped, scrambling to the other side of the seat. Her heart was a drum in her ears. I'm so sorry. The car looked the same. Please, I'm just a nurse. I didn't see anything. She looked at the man. He was strikingly handsome, sharp, aristocratic features and eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 secrets. He closed his silver lighter with a metallic snick. You are 45 minutes late for your bed, Miss Benson, he said. His English was perfect, accented with a subtle, melodic Korean lilt. Nia's hand fumbled for the door handle. I'll leave. I'm sorry. Please don't. Don't what? Ji-hoon asked, tilting his head. I have spent the last hour ensuring you weren't disturbed. If I meant you harm, you would have stayed asleep forever. He signaled to Min-ho. The car pulled up exactly to her apartment entrance. Nia was stunned. She hadn't even given him the full address. How did you? You talk in your sleep, he lied, a tiny spark of amusement in his dark eyes. Go inside, Nia, and lock your door. The next black car you enter might not be mine. As she ran into her building, she looked back. The Genesis was still there, idling in the rain. She felt a strange, magnetic pull she couldn't explain. 3 days had passed, but Nia felt like she was still vibrating from the hum of that Genesis engine. Every black car that passed the hospital made her breath hitch. She had told herself it was just a strange city story, Something to tell the grandkids if she ever survived the ER long enough to have them. You're spacing out again, Nia, her head nurse, Mrs. Cho, barked. Sorry, just long shifts, Nia lied. She walked toward the exit, her actual rideshare app open. She meticulously checked the license plate this time. Silver Honda. Check. Driver named Gary. Check. But as she stepped toward the curb, a familiar obsidian black car glided into the space directly in front of the Honda. The back window rolled down. The streetlights caught the sharp, icy profile of Ji-hoon Park. When the hunter comes back for the prey, Nia whispered, her heart doing a somersault. Ms. Benson, Ji-hoon said. His voice was like silk stretched over a blade. Nia stood frozen. Gary in the silver Honda honked. Ji-hoon didn't even glance at him. He simply raised a hand, and a second black SUV appeared out of nowhere, blocking the Honda's path. You're blocking my ride, Nia said, trying to summon the courage she used on unruly patience. I am providing you a better one, Ji-hoon replied. We have unfinished business. Business? I slept on your suit. I didn't steal anything. Ji-hoon opened the door himself, a rare gesture for a man of his status. Actually, you left something, and I require your professional opinion. Nia is a nurse. Ji-hoon is a mafia boss. What could she have possibly left in his car that would make a man like him track her down? Is it a physical object, or did she leave an impression he can't shake? Write your guesses below and remember to subscribe. Against her better judgment and every survival instinct she possessed, Nia got in. The car didn't head toward Maple Street. It headed toward the industrial district. Where are we going? This isn't the way, Nia said, her hand hovering over the door latch. Relax, Nia. If I wanted you disappeared, we wouldn't be using my personal vehicle, Ji-hoon said, his eyes fixed on a tablet. They pulled into a nondescript warehouse. Inside, however, was a shock. It wasn't a torture chamber. It was a state-of-the-art medical suite. Clean, white, and hidden. My people cannot go to West Side General, Ji-hoon said, standing up and towering over her. They need someone who can see a wound and forget the face. I want to hire you. Nia looked at the equipment. It was better than what she had at the hospital. Then she looked at Ji-hoon. He was standing too close. She could smell that cedarwood and tobacco again, mixed with something uniquely him. You want a mob doctor? Nia asked, her voice defiant despite the proximity. I spent 4 years in school to save lives, not to hide crimes. Ji-hoon stepped closer, his hand coming up to rest on the wall behind her head. He didn't touch her, but the heat radiating from him was palpable. It was the classic K-drama Kabadan, the wall slam. I am not asking you to hide crimes, Nia. I am asking you to save the lives of the people who protect mine. People who have families. People the system has forgotten. His eyes dropped to her lips for a fraction of a second, a slow, deliberate burn, before meeting her gaze again. I will pay you 10 times your salary, and I will ensure you are never touched by the rain again. Nia reached out, her fingers accidentally brushing the silk of his tie as she pointed a finger at his chest. I have conditions. I don't work for a monster. If I see something I can't live with, I walk, and you don't follow. Ji-hoon looked down at where her hand touched his chest. He didn't pull away. Instead, he covered her hand with his own. His skin was warm, his grip firm but strangely gentle. I am a man of my word, Nia Benson, he whispered. The air between them grew heavy, charged with a sudden, electric tension. For a moment, the sounds of the warehouse faded. It was just the rhythm of two hearts, one fast, one steady. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. He just leaned in until his breath moved the stray curls near her ear. Deal. Nia swallowed hard, her voice a mere breath. Deal. The tension is rising. Do you think Nia is making a deal with the devil? Or is Ji-hoon the one who needs saving? Subscribe and like this video if you felt that spark. Nia is no longer just an observer. She is an accomplice. 2 weeks into her double life, Nia was beginning to forget what sleep felt like. By day, she was the reliable Nurse Benson at West Side General. By night, she was a ghost in Ji-hoon's hidden clinic. She was cleaning a suture kit when the heavy steel doors of the warehouse groaned open. Minho rushed in, his leather jacket torn, supporting a man who was clutching a blood-soaked rag to his thigh. "Nia, now," Minho barked. Behind them stepped Ji-hoon. He wasn't wearing his suit jacket. His white dress shirt was unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up, and his knuckles were bruised. When the line between healing and hurting disappears, Nia whispered, snapping on her latex gloves. If the video interests you, do well to subscribe and put on notification. We are hoping to get up to 1,000 subscribers with you. The patient was a young soldier in the park syndicate, barely 20. He was hyperventilating, the copper scent of blood filling the small room. "He's going into shock," Nia said, her voice dropping into the command mode that had made her a legend in the ER. "Minho, pressure here. Ji-hoon, I need you to hold his shoulders. He's going to kick when I start the debridement." Ji-hoon didn't hesitate. The boss of the city's most feared organization took his place at the head of the table. He leaned over the boy, his large hands pinning the patient's shoulders with effortless strength. "Look at me," Ji-hoon commanded the boy in Korean. His voice was a low, steady anchor. "Look at my eyes. You are not going to die. Not while she is here." An hour later, the room was quiet. The soldier was stabilized and moved to a recovery cot. Nia stood at the sink, scrubbing the dried blood from her forearms. Her hands were finally starting to shake. A shadow fell over her. Ji-hoon stood behind her, watching her reflection in the stainless steel. "You did well," he said. "He almost bled out," Nia countered, her back still to him. "This isn't just minor injuries, Ji-hoon. This is war. It is my life," he said. He reached out, taking a towel and gently drying her hands for her. His movements were slow, almost reverent. "And now, it is a part of yours." Nia just saved a man who lives outside the law. Does this make her a hero, or is she becoming part of the problem? If you were in Nia's shoes, would you stay for the money, or leave for your safety? Type "stay" or "leave" in the comments. Remember to hit the subscribe button and share the video. Ji-hoon didn't let go of her hands. He turned her around, so she was trapped between the sink and his chest. The adrenaline of the surgery was fading, replaced by a heavy, suffocating awareness of how close he was. His eyes searched hers, no longer cold. They were burning with an intensity that made Nia's knees weak. "Why are you still here, Nia? You could have run a dozen times." "I don't leave patients," she whispered, her heart racing. "Is that the only reason?" He reached up, his thumb tracing the dark circle under her eye. Then, his hand slid back, burying itself in the soft curls at the nape of her neck. He tilted her head back, his face inches from hers. It wasn't a movie kiss. It was a slow, tentative exploration. Ji-hoon leaned in, his lips barely brushing against hers, a ghost of a touch that sent a jolt of electricity through Nia's entire frame. She let out a shaky breath, her hands coming up to rest on his damp shirt, feeling the hard muscle beneath. He waited for her to pull away. When she didn't, he deepened the pressure. It was a kiss that tasted of cedar, tobacco, and the metallic tang of a long night. It was a promise and a warning all in one. It was the moment Nia Benson realized she wasn't just his nurse anymore. He pulled back just an inch, his forehead resting against hers, both of them breathing hard. "I told you once," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I take care of what is valuable to me. You are the most valuable thing I have ever found." Nia is no longer safe in her dual life, and Ji-hoon's Ice King persona begins to crack under the weight of his feelings. Nia thought she was being careful. She changed her route to the hospital every day. She never used the same car twice. But you can't hide from a ghost. As she left her shift at 4 a.m., she found a white envelope tucked under her windshield wiper. Inside was a single Polaroid, Nia and Ji-hoon standing in the rain outside the warehouse. On the back, written in elegant, terrifying calligraphy, were 3 words: "The nurse dies." "When the hunter becomes the hunted," Nia whispered, the paper trembling in her hand. If you are yet to subscribe, pause now and hit the subscribe before you continue. When Nia burst into the warehouse and slammed the photo onto Ji-hoon's desk, the temperature in the room seemed to drop 20 degrees. Ji-hoon didn't shout. He didn't swear. He simply stared at the photo, his jaw tightening until the bone looked like it might snap. "The Choice Syndicate," he said, his voice a low, vibrating growl. They think they can use you to weaken me. They don't think it, Ji-hoon. They're doing it. Nia cried. I'm a nurse, not a soldier. I can't live like this. Ji-hoon stood up, moving around the desk with the grace of a panther. He didn't stop until he was inches from her. You won't have to. Minho, prepare the safe house. We're moving. If you are hooked by this Afro-Korean Mafia romance movie, remember to subscribe and put on notification to always get our movies once they drop. The safe house was a high-rise penthouse overlooking the Han River, protected by biometric locks and 6 armed guards. It was a golden cage. For 3 days, Nia and Ji-hoon lived in a forced, domestic intimacy. He traded his 3-piece suits for silk loungewear. She traded her scrubs for his oversized cashmere sweaters. They shared coffee at sunrise and wine at midnight, the threat outside making every second feel like it could be their last. Ji-hoon is planning something dangerous. He's been on the phone with the Busan elders for hours. Is he planning to hand over his territory to save Nia, or is he setting a trap for the Choi Syndicate? Tell us your theories. Subscribe, put on notification, and like the video. The tension broke on the 4th night. They were standing on the balcony, the city lights reflecting in the glass. I never wanted this for you, Ji-hoon said, his back to her. I thought I could keep my worlds separate. I thought I was strong enough to have both. Nia walked up behind him, resting her cheek against his shoulder, the same way she had that first night in the car. You're not a machine, Ji-hoon. You're a man, and men make mistakes. He turned in her arms, his eyes dark with a mix of guilt and desire. He leaned down, his lips ghosting over her jawline, moving toward her ear. If anything happens to you, Nia, I will burn this city to the ground. The moment was shattered by the sound of a distant explosion. The lights in the penthouse flickered and died. The backup generators kicked in, bathing the room in a haunting red emergency glow. They're here, Ji-hoon said, his voice instantly reverting to the cold commander. He pulled a handgun from his waistband and handed Nia a small, encrypted burner phone. Stay in the panic room. Do not come out unless you hear my voice. Do you understand? Nia grabbed his arm. Ji-hoon, wait. He didn't wait. He pulled her into a fierce, desperate kiss, one that tasted of salt and finality. It was the longest kiss they had shared, a frantic exchange of breath before the storm. I love you, he whispered against her lips. It was the first time he had said it. Then, he pushed her toward the hidden door and vanished into the darkness of the hallway. The safe house felt like a tomb. From inside the panic room, Nia pressed her ear against the reinforced steel. Outside, the silence was punctuated by the rhythmic thud-thud of silenced gunfire and the shattering of glass. Suddenly, the electronic lock hissed. The door swung open. Ji-hoon stood there, his white shirt now stained a deep, frightening crimson. He was leaning heavily against the frame, his breathing ragged. Ji-hoon, Nia lunged for him, her nursing instincts taking over before her fear. The price of a fresh start, Nia whispered, her voice cracking as she caught his weight. He wasn't dead, but he was close. A graze to the ribs and a deep puncture in the shoulder. Nia dragged him to the center of the room, using her emergency kit with trembling fingers. You have to stay awake, she sobbed, ripping open a pack of gauze. Ji-hoon, look at me. You said you'd burn this city down. You can't do that if you're sleeping. Ji-hoon reached up, his bloody fingers staining her cheek as he forced a weak smile. I don't want to burn it anymore, Nia. I just want to leave it. 3 weeks later, the news headlines were buzzing. Park's syndicate heir missing, presumed dead in penthouse raid. The police had found a body, charred beyond recognition, and a mountain of evidence pointing to the Choi Syndicate. But in a small, coastal town 300 miles away, a man with a scarred shoulder sat on a porch, watching the tide come in. He wasn't the Ice King anymore. He was just Ji-hoon, a man who liked his coffee black and his mornings quiet. Ji-hoon gave up billions and a throne to be with Nia. Did he make the right choice? Or will his past eventually find them in this quiet town? Type right if you believe in their love, or past if you think the story isn't over yet. The number of viewers and subscribers inspired us a lot to bring more of this intense Afro-Korean Mafia romance movie. Endeavor to subscribe and share to lovers of Afro-Korean Mafia romance. Nia stepped out onto the porch, carrying 2 mugs. She was wearing a simple sundress, her hair free and wild in the sea breeze. She sat beside him, their shoulders touching, a callback to that first night in the car. Ji-hoon took his coffee, then set it down. He turned to her, his hand moving to the back of her neck, pulling her close. This wasn't a desperate kiss. It was a slow, lingering seal of their new life. His lips moved against hers with a soft, reverent pressure. It tasted of salt air and freedom. For the first time, there was no scent of tobacco or cedar, only the smell of the ocean. Was it worth it? Nia whispered against his lips, her eyes searching his. Ji-hoon leaned in, giving her one final, deep kiss that answered every question she ever had. Every second, he murmured. As the sun began to set over the water, the screen fades to black. Thank you for riding with Afro-KT Tales. If you love Nia and Ji-hoon's journey, subscribe for our next tale. Share this video with someone who believes in second chances, and don't forget to answer the final puzzle in the comments. Who should we cast as the villain in our next series?